Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. So we are at the third chapter, and we are halfway third chapter, right? And so as usual, that you must cultivate your motivation. Okay. So that is you must we must teach, we must listen with the motive of bodhicitta mind, bodhicitta. So you must think that I wish to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. So to achieve Buddhahood, you must practice Dharma, and particularly Bodhisattva way of life. So we must practice Bodhisattva way of life. So to be able to practice Bodhisattva way of life, we must know how to do it. And for that, we must listen. So I'm going to listen to the teaching of Bodhisattva way of life written by Acharaya Shantideva. So that should be our motivation. That should be our motivation, right? So so that motivation, we can for beginners like me, we cannot generate at once. So we just think about that, and some kind of artificial thought should at least cultivate within ourselves, and with that kind of force we must listen and teach. So that is the motivation. So before we go to the book, just a few words I would like to discuss about the karma. The other day I had some discussion with some of my friends, and then they told me that karma, karmic system is of course difficult to understand, but still we have to understand it, you know. And the question is that in a general question which arises within the general people is that there are many people in the world we can see that they commit crimes, bad actions, still they become rich, get richer, and get comfortable life, leading a comfortable life. We see that. So where is your karma? You know, where is your karma? You are doing, and I am practicing Dharma. I am doing good actions. I don't steal. I don't lie. I don't cheat other people. Still I'm poor. I'm not getting richer. So I have, I don't see your karmic system. That is general and normal doubts. So it is, therefore it is true that we see these things. It is true, yes. And it is very difficult to explain. And even though there are some people they explain that it is difficult to understand. So actually we should study how the karma works deeply. That is very important. So when we study deeply about karmic system, how it works, and then we must analyze, then we must think over it again and again, and then it takes time. It is not like 1 plus 1 equal, the answer is 2. So that's it. It's just 1 second it takes to understand. But it is not like that. It takes a long time. It needs a lot of conditions to understand. So a lot of conditions to be met. Only then you can get the understanding. So that's then I told my friend, have you read what do you call it, Dhamma Sutra? Have you read Dhamma Sutra? And they said they haven't read. I said Buddha said, Buddha clearly mentioned in Dhamma Sutra. There was question and the answer going on between the Ramjor, the Bodhisattva or Arahat Ramjor, and there's some question and discussion is going on in Dhamma Sutra. And then finally Buddha stated that the person, the Dhamma Sutra, what is the content of Dhamma Sutra? The Parjana Paramita. That is Parjana Paramita. It's like, we have in that 16 volumes, that is Parjana Paramita, and then shortened version of Parjana Paramita, that is 100 verses, and 100 verses, the textbook, and then the even more condensed Dhamma Sutra, and then the even shorter one is Heart Sutra, So like that, it's that in Dhammakata Sutra, they explain about the importance and the benefits of Parjana Paramita, benefits of realization of Parjana Paramita. So there was discussion, and then Buddha stated that the person who studies Dhamma Sutra, who listens to the words of Dhamma Sutra, who recites the Dhamma Sutra, he or she gets a huge amount of merit. You cannot measure that merit. You can measure the sands of the Ganga river, but you cannot measure you can count the particles of the Ganga sands. Ganga river, Yeah. So, but this merit you cannot be measured. So it's a huge merit. But that person, he or she might suffer. He will suffer. He or she will suffer. He or she will suffer more and more and more and more. It's like that. So that is the question. Why? Now your Parjana Paramita is so great, and you are accumulating so huge amount of merit. Still, he says, Buddha said, that person will suffer and suffer more and more and more. So, in my country, in my place, Spiti, I think I discussed. I mentioned earlier one time, one of the ladies, there was ladies, and she asked me same question. So she said, I'm practicing Dharma, I'm reciting mantras, but I'm sick, I'm not feeling well, I'm weak, I get a lot of problems. And so she asked me this question, and what is this? So it is not that easy to answer and make them understand. It is not that easy. But in my logic is that I gave her an example, So we have a butcher there in the town, Indian butcher. So I told the lady, you see the butcher? Are you aware of that butcher? Of course, yes. Everybody is aware of that butcher. So he kills maybe at least 7 to 8 goats or sheep every day. Sometimes some festivals going on, then he has to kill more because there's more demand. Bigger demand is there. So every day minimum is 7, 8, 6, 7. Cannot go down 6. Less than 6 cannot go. So I said that he kills. That is the killing action, and he's committing every day. He's committing that the owner of the butcher shop is committing that action every day. So one killing action is a huge, actually. It's a huge bad karma. Because one killing action can lead you to hell. That is what explained in the books of teachings. So then he is not one, everyday level at least 6, 7, right? But then we saw that he is perspiring. He came with nothing, but now 15 years passed, 20 years passed. He bought cars, he built big houses in his native place. We heard that. Now he's getting older. Now his son is taking care of the shop, butcher shop, and so son got also his own car and house and so on. So and we never heard he was ill. We never heard he was sick, So maybe he got the flu or cough, or that is normal. We never got serious sick. We never heard of that. So you see that. So now that's the same question, right? So my logic is that his accumulation of bad action cannot be measured. That I can understand. As one killing action is a huge action, but then his action cannot be measured. So in return, in karmic way, in return, he has to suffer because he has given a lot of suffering to other beings. But you know that hurting others is a bad action. It's a crime, bad action. According to Dharma, bad action. According to the law, also bad action, right? So hurting others is prohibited in Dharma. And when you hurt some other people, you slap on that person, or you hit with sticks, you beat them up, that is also hurting. But the maximum hurting is killing. You cannot go beyond that. I mean, then what you can do? You can do nothing more. So, for a person or for a being, the dearest thing is their life, because when robbers come with knife or gun, and so at the gun point they would say, I want this, I want, you must give me money, and so forth. And then we say, okay, please take everything, don't kill me, please. Because that shows the life is the dearest one, not the wealth and these things. They can take, no problem, please take that, please don't kill, we will make a request. We bow down and make a request, please don't kill me, right? So that shows the life is the dearest one. So you cut the life, that means the dearest thing to that being is, you are destroying the dearest thing for the being, right? So that becomes the biggest karma related to our body action. So his karma is a huge. So that cannot be paid by stomach ache, even by cancer or any kinds of disease. This is nothing. You have big pain, headache, or stomach ache, or cancer. So that is that cannot compensate that his karma. So it is not possible to ripen that karma in human life. With human life, what the stomach ache or headache or the cancer pain or nothing more than that can happen, and that cannot compensate the big action. So for the time being, that action cannot be ripened as long as he is alive. Because his lifespan is still there, and how the lifespan is determined, that we discussed the other day. Didn't we? Arrow bow. Yes. Remember? Yeah. So his lifespan is still there. So cannot be ripened. So he cannot suffer. He cannot suffer. He cannot get the result of killing action because of just I may said reasons. So instead, he is using his previous leftover merit, so he can be prospered. Yeah. So all the leftover merit is being used. Is exhausting. It's exhausting. After nothing left, only suffering. So that is how it works. Does it make any sense? You know? So the Buddha said, he will suffer, he or she will suffer more. Why? What is the suffering? That is stomach ache, headache, poverty, at most starvation, or some serious diseases. That's it. So that is because he practiced Panchaparamita. So all the huge amount of bad actions are being purified. So small, he cannot go now. He doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough money to go to hell. He doesn't have enough money to get an air ticket to go to hell. He cannot buy the ticket because he is purified. Very, very tiny little is left. So that can be finished with stomach ache and some poverty and so forth and so on. You see the point. So that's why when the Panchaparamita practitioner is suffering, that is a good sign. In fact, this is not a bad sign. You must. So that's why Buddha himself mentioned very clearly in the sutra, will suffer and so on. So that is one example how the kami works, and very in great detail. It is very difficult to understand. So this was I just wanted to share maybe besides my friends whom I have had discussions with the other day. Some other participants also might have this kind of questions in their mind, so I thought it will do some. It will make some sense to all of you, right? So now we go to the book where we were.
Verse 20. We ended at verse 26.
Now 27, right?
27.
Okay. 27. 로에 정말 풍부래 지다른 쟁에 봤다. 디진 지식 때 때는 장도성도 나오게. As a blind man might find a jewel in heaps of rubbish, so too this awakening mind has somehow appeared in me. Now this must be 28, right? Now, just like a blind man discovering a jewel in a heap of rubbish, likewise by some coincidence, an awakening mind has been born within me. So, he's talking about bodhicitta, right? So today we have generated bodhicitta within ourselves. So bodhicitta is born within us. So it is like a blind person finding a jewel from the rubbish, as they say. The translation says. So if poor people and blind people find a blind person find a jewel in rubbish, then it's going to be a great relief for them, and it's a great joy for he or she, right? So similarly, somehow we could manage to generate body mind, or at least even if we haven't generated body mind, if you have some kind of aspiration towards the bodhicitta mind, that is also like this. You know, many people they don't. Most of the people, human beings even, there's no chance, there's no opportunity for animals, of course, as we discussed. So their intelligence is very limited, so they cannot think of compassion for all sentient beings, all beings, and so forth. But they can think about some compassion, some loving kindness, compassion towards their children, and so forth. But not like this. That is impossible. So it is a coincidence for us too. So you must feel rejoice. You must rejoice in the feeling that you had, and the thought that you have had. Dove sita jomjepe tuji choda diito. Dove uwaseva visetari hadiito. So 28, 29, right? It is the supreme ambrosia. What is ambrosia? Food of the gods. Food of the gods.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because it says nectar, so he translated food of the gods. Okay. So I thought, what is food of the gods? I don't understand. Yeah, discovering a jewel in the heap of Nola. It is the supreme ambrosia that overcomes the sovereignty of death. It is the inexhaustible treasure. that eliminates all poverty in the world. This is the elixir of life, that is nectar, born to end death in the world. This is the inexhaustible treasure, elevating poverty in the world. Okay. So, so this bodhicitta is the supreme nectar to destroy the death. So, death, when we talk about death, this is normal death, and there are that is normal death is when we stop breathing, that is normal death, and that is gross level death. There is subtle death also. That is, that subtle death is not even destroyed by the Bodhisattvas. That 10th level ground Bodhisattvas, they also haven't destroyed. So they also take some kind of rebirth, So as long as rebirth is there, then there's death and born, So only when you have bodhicitta, then you can become Buddha. So only Buddha has destroyed all levels of death. That's why he said it is the supreme nectar to destroy the death. And that is because when he says that, it doesn't mean that when you cultivate bodhicitta, you will never die. No. Because bodhisattvas also die. And then this is like treasure. Treasure. Yeah. This is like a treasure that is inexhaustible. Never finish. So it is the treasure of inexhaustible treasure to pacify the poverty of all beings. So that means when you that doesn't mean that if you generate bodhicitta and then you become millionaire or billionaire or so. No, it doesn't mean that. Because when you have bodhicitta, then there is no shortage of merit. And because 24 hours you are accumulating merit. So there is no poverty of merit. So and then these worldly to remove worldly poverty, that is not a great job here. The real when you have this bodhicitta, then worldly poverty is not a poverty. So only Dhamma poverty, that is the main thing. Dove nerak si jebe meji sokan di. Silam cham si tuwai dove nesun juishing is this is the supreme medicine, curing the sickness of the world, a tree of shelter for very creatures. What is this? Staggering along the road of existence. Okay. This other translation It is the supreme medicine that cures the world's disease. It is the tree that shelters all beings. Wandering, wandering? Okay, wandering and tired on path of conditioned existence. So anyway, this is the supreme medicine to destroy all kinds of diseases, and this is not only physical diseases. The main thing is mental diseases. So what are the mental diseases? Those are the what we call the destructive emotions. Those are the mental diseases. So when the destructive emotions are destroyed, then there will not be physical diseases as well. So the destructive emotions are the main disease. So that only can be cured by bodhicitta. And then also we have been hanging around in samsara, so we are tired, we take a rest. So for example, if you are hanging around, and then you get tired, and then you take you rest under a tree, because in ancient time there's no you cannot take rest in a mall or in somewhere with AC and so forth. They take shelter of the tree in India. It's also hot in India. So he gives this example. So that is like we take rebirth in higher realms like human realm and heavenly realm and so forth. So we are still in samsara, but when we take the rebirth in these higher realms, then it is like taking a rest. It's less suffering, it's taking a rest under the tree. So if you have bodhicitta, you definitely take rebirth in higher realms. There's no question of taking rebirth in lower realms. So it is, the shelter is always with you, right? You understand? Doa tamje ngedole doa chibi chitekins. Doa ni mung dong sebe semji dawa shabins. Yes, okay. This is Katira. The causeway to cross over bad rivers, open to all who travel. It is the rising moon of the mind, mitigating the defilements of the world. Defilements of the world. Okay, anyway. It is the universal bridge that leads to freedom from unhappy states of birth. It is the downing moon of the mind that dispels the torment of disturbing conception. That's a destructive emotions. So this is like a bridge that all sentient beings who are suffering in lower realms and get them to the higher realms. So it's like a bridge. So you have generated bodhicitta. So you would help all beings as much as possible. So you will guide them to get to the higher realms. So it becomes like a bridge for them to get to the higher realms. And then also through the bodhicitta, you will try to help all beings who are suffering from the heat of from the heat of delusions, destructive emotions. So it is like a moon in the heat. So moon gives cooling, moon gives cooling, right? So this is like a cooling for the people who are suffering from the heat of delusions. And then the next verse is Doe Meshe Ravita Visheba. Teaching Yimachimbu, teaching Yimachimbu. Tamjo Masubale Magi Nigu. Huh? Okay, thank you. It is the brilliant sun dispelling the mist of ignorance from the world. It is the fresh butter rising up from churning the milk of the true Dharma. It is the great sun that finally removes the misty ignorance of the world. It is the quintessential butter from the churning of the milk of Dharma. So, oops, again I lost.